All right, let's talk about the Great Wall of China. You probably think you know the story, right? This massive defensive barrier. But what if I told you that's only half the truth? Let's dig in and uncover what's really hidden inside those ancient stones. And it all kicks off with this crazy idea. What if a tiny piece of wood could completely rewrite history? I mean, really think about that. A small, forgotten object changing everything we thought we knew about a wonder of the world. That's the key to this whole thing.
Well, guess what? That's exactly what happened. Out in the middle of this vast desert, near a super remote part of the wall, researchers stumbled upon these ancient wooden slips. We're talking 2,000 years old, perfectly preserved, and covered in this mysterious writing that, believe it or not, held a massive secret. But hang on. Before we get to decoding that, we've got to talk about the wall that you and I picture in our heads.
Okay, so when you think Great Wall, what do you see? It's probably that iconic stone version, right? Well, you're picturing the one built during the Ming Dynasty, about 650 years ago. And let me tell you, it is an absolute masterpiece of engineering. I mean, the scale is just, it's mind-boggling. The Ming section alone is officially 8,850 kilometers long. To put that in perspective, that's like driving from New York to LA and then turning around and driving all the way back again. Just incredible.
And you gotta understand, this wasn't just some long fence. No way. It was a massive military installation. It was dotted with something like 25,000 watchtowers. And each one was basically a mini fortress that could hold up to 50 soldiers, all ready to go at a moment's notice. If you still can't wrap your head around that length, get this. Back in 1984, three friends decided to walk the whole thing. It took them 510 days. That is almost a year and a half of just walking. So it really begs the question, why on earth would you build something so colossal?
Well, the answer, in a word, was the Mongols. For centuries, these incredibly skilled nomadic warriors from the north would just swoop in and raid Chinese settlements, creating constant chaos. The Ming Wall was meant to be the final answer, the ultimate defensive line to keep them out for good. Or so everyone thought.
But here's where it gets interesting. When we started looking at the wall with modern technology, with drones and satellite imaging, it started to give up secrets that had been hidden for hundreds of years.
For example, drone footage found something that just didn't add up. Secret doors. Tiny, cleverly hidden doors at the base of the wall. Now, if your whole goal is to keep people out, to build this impenetrable barrier, why in the world would you build doors in it?
And this is where we see the wall's true genius. It wasn't just a passive shield, sitting there waiting for an attack. Those secret doors, they let Ming soldiers, maybe even disguised as Mongols, slip out to spy on enemy camps. And even wilder, they found these secret tunnels, sections of the wall that were designed to be broken down quickly from the inside, so soldiers could just burst out and launch a surprise attack on the invaders from behind. It was an offensive weapon hiding in plain sight.
Okay, so the Ming Wall is way more complex than we thought. But just as experts were wrapping their heads around that, satellite data showed that the story was even bigger and went much, much further back in time.
See, everyone thought the Ming Wall ended at this big fortress out in the Gobi Desert. But when they looked at satellite images, they saw this faint outline of another wall, a much older, crumbling wall that just kept going for another 250 kilometers right into the harshest part of the desert. So archaeologists went out there on the ground and they found these old arrowheads scattered around. When they carbon dated them, the results were just stunning. These things weren't 650 years old like the Ming Wall, they were 2,200 years old. This wasn't part of the Ming Wall at all. It was a totally different structure from a whole different dynasty built to fight a completely different enemy. And that brings us right back to those mysterious wooden slips they found in the desert. All of a sudden, archaeologists realized these weren't just some random old artifacts. Oh no, they were the Rosetta Stone for this ancient, forgotten wall. When the translators finally cracked the ancient script, it read like a military training manual. This quote right here is one of the most incredible discoveries. It lays out this super clear communication plan, and, most importantly, it names the enemy. And guess what? It wasn't the Mongols, it was the Huns, an even older and, as some historians will tell you, an even more ferocious group of nomadic warriors. This ancient wall was built to stop them. The slips laid out this incredibly sophisticated signaling system. It was genius, really. When lookouts spotted the Huns, they'd raise flags during the day or light giant fires at night. That signal would be relayed from tower to tower down the line. And they even had a code to communicate the size of the attacking force. So, like, one signal could mean 1,000 horsemen are on their way. Just amazing.
But why go through all that trouble, right? Why build this whole thing out in the middle of nowhere? The slips gave them the final piece of the puzzle. This ancient wall wasn't just protecting a border. It was guarding the economic lifeblood of the ancient world, the legendary Silk Road.
So when you put all of these pieces together, the clever Ming Wall, the ancient Han Wall, and all the other versions built in between, you finally start to get a sense of the true legacy of this incredible structure. And, part of that legacy is just how devastating the human cost was. It's estimated that building the Ming section alone cost around 400,000 lives. Many of these people were forced laborers, basically prisoners. And the legend even says that many who died on the job were just buried right there, inside the wall itself.
In that scale we talked about earlier, it's even more incomprehensible than you think. When you add up all the walls from all the different dynasties, the total length isn't 8,850 kilometers, it's over 21,000 kilometers. That is long enough to stretch more than halfway around the entire Earth. Just let that sink in for a second. Which kind of leaves us with one final haunting thought. Some reports suggest that today, almost half of this gigantic structure has just crumbled away or vanished. So it really makes you wonder, if a few little pieces of wood could totally rewrite history, how many more secrets are still out there, buried and forgotten along those thousands and thousands of kilometers?